Welcome back to Where is the Money? So the money is not with the middle class and the working class these days. So a lot of people are making tough financial decisions, trying to figure out how to make the budget work, how to keep everything running, trying to keep some sanity and some peace of mind in this increasingly expensive economy. So a lot of people are bringing up the question, how are you affording life right now? It's so expensive to live. It's so expensive to keep the same quality of life you had 5 years ago. It requires more money, more resources, more effort than it did in previous years. How are you affording life?
I just gotta know, like how y'all doing? How are y'all surviving? It's getting rough out here. I'm just looking at my utility bills for the month. $412 electric bill. Almost $250 gas bill. That one was actually cheaper than it had been. My water bill's on the way. It'll at least be $300 to $350. House payment, car insurance, cell phones, Wi-Fi. The price of food. Just went grocery shopping, $550 for hopefully 2 weeks, but it never lasts 2 weeks. I'll be back at the store multiple times for snacks for the kids' lunches, fruit, milk. And then let's not talk about when you need the other stuff like toilet paper, paper towels, body wash, shampoo, $150 by the time you get all that. Cleaning supplies. Your girl needs socks. It's like not funny, but like laugh or what else can we do? Like something has got to change. This is BS, man. I'm scared to death for when my kids are grown-ups. Like, it is struggling out here.
Now, the utilities are going up as one of the big sticking points for a lot of different people trying to get their budget under control. So we got the rent prices and mortgage prices through the roof. You got interest rates still through the roof. Outside of that, after you get in the home or rent the home, now we have the utilities, which for a person moving is commonly overlooked until you get those first few bills. She said she had a $400 power bill, $250 for gas, $300 for water, which is a lot, $550 for food every 2 weeks, hopefully. So you're looking at about $1,000 for food for the month, all these other utilities, not including rent or mortgage. So we're pretty high up there, right? A lot of these bills can change depending on the season. Like I live in Las Vegas, so in Las Vegas during the summertime, my power bill is going to be more expensive because of the AC running quite a bit. Now, if you're in a different city where there is a real winter, your gas bill might be running to keep the heater running throughout those winter months. So it varies, but across the board, we have seen an increase no matter what utility it is. Now, some would say, hey, just go to school, be a doctor, go to school and be a lawyer. You'll make enough money to not worry about this economy stuff. Well, we have a second-year law student that graduated, got in her field, doing her thing, and coincidental, she's dealing with the same issues as the blue-collar, regular trade worker type factory worker is experiencing, which is it's still difficult to make the budget work.
The cost of living is getting actually outrageous. I started today like, oh yay, I'm a second year lawyer, like, oh, I made it through my first year. And I ended it really pissed off because I was like, oh yeah, I am a second year lawyer and I still cannot afford to live on my own in a way that would not be stressful, or in a way that I would not struggle, or in a way that I can do so without financially burdening myself by going into debt. My goal this year was to move back home with my parents, move back to New Orleans, which is a cheaper cost of living market, especially compared to New York, LA, Miami, the other three markets I was considering. move home for a year, save my money, and then buy a house. Right? Make a smart investment. Don't throw all my money out the window on rent. I can rent out a room, help me pay down the mortgage faster. Just being savvy and strategic and smart. Well, we're now officially a year into that plan. Hence, oh yay, I'm a second-year lawyer. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I have enough money for a down payment, but you know what I cannot afford? Damn near 7% interest rate on your principal mortgage amount. Rising property taxes, rising insurance costs, especially in Louisiana. So while I have down payment money, especially if I use an FHA loan, I literally could not afford in a financially responsible way my mortgage. I would be house poor. So if I'm going to be house poor, that defeats the purpose of being fiscally responsible and purchasing a house. So there's that. Also, the money that I've saved is probably just enough for a year's worth of rent. I have multiple reservations with renting in New Orleans. My main one being, why would I pay rent in a city where my parents own a house? I just think that's counterproductive. And two being, I would rather rent in a more expensive market like New York. And that's just housing. That's not counting how expensive everything else has gotten as well. I saved that money by living at home, but even still, I had to make such big financial sacrifices to still save that money, even with living at home, because the cost of other things is so ridiculously high. Like I've been talking about, I've been suffering hair loss. Every time I go to the dermatologist, that's $150 an appointment per half hour. The medicine that I was prescribed to alleviate my hair loss is about $60 a bottle. The other serum that works well for my hair is also $60 a bottle. And maybe to some people, those are not necessities, but it's a necessity to me for my hair not to fall out. So I can't cut those expenses. And there's things that I have tremendously cut from my spending habits. For example, I don't have a gym membership anywhere. I cut down shopping for clothes. I hardly ever shop for clothes. Maybe every couple months I'll get a couple new pieces. But if you know me, I used to shop very consistently. I probably was buying something like once a month. I basically completely cut out any type of luxury shopping as well. Even on Christmas, I decided to take my Christmas money and buy a camera to invest in my content creation. And I asked for the rest of the money to be put in my account so I could pay down my credit card bill. I get my hair done a lot less often. If you knew me in law school, you knew I stayed changing my hair. I don't do that anymore. I cut out lash extensions. I cut out laser. I hardly ever Uber, especially compared to how I used to Uber when I was in school. I largely consolidate eating out for the weekends. Monday through Friday, I pretty much almost always go to work and go home. The thing that I splurge on is literally going out a couple of days, once or twice with my friends, my hair, skin, and makeup. And to me, those are things like, well, what the heck? Are you going to live a life? You have to be able to live a life. All that to say, I have the money to live on my own, but I could not do so in a comfortable manner that would not be financially stressful. And I'm sitting here like, wow, I can't even imagine having student loans on top of all of these things. And I'm just getting increasingly more frustrated because the older generations really do not understand. They do not understand. They think you make so much money. They think your dollar stretches so far. They just do not get it because when they were young professionals, their dollar went a lot further than ours did. I just feel like our generation, you have to have multiple jobs if you really want to be able to afford to live comfortably, to still save money, to still be able to do nice things for yourself. This would make more sense to me if I really was still frivolously spending, if I really hadn't cut anything from my budget, if I really was keeping up with my high maintenance appointments to keep me low maintenance, if I really was still doing all that and traveling and catching a flight every weekend and paying for a hotel and doing all the things, I could stomach this a lot easier because it'd be like, okay, yeah, that's where my money went. But actually looking at everything I've cut out to try to afford this goal that I have and still not being able to reach it, even going to an extreme as living at home and cutting out all those major expenses, it is so frustrating. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it genuinely feels like you just won't break out of the cycle. Like, I started crashing out after work today because I genuinely was like, oh my God, I might not ever move out of this house. Obviously, I can move if I'm willing to throw all the money I saved into rent, which is just, the thought makes me sick. No, but like deadass, I can't cut any of my spending if I want to live any type of life. I just can't. how the hell were people raising families on this salary? Like, please.
So her biggest thing is she did not want to be house poor. So she didn't go through with trying to buy the house because it just didn't make financial sense in this market, which completely understand. So what are your options? She moved back home and say, hey, I'll save up for a house and I'll rent for the time being, but even rent prices are pretty ridiculous. So what does it say about the economy when a lawyer that graduated in her field, supposed to be making all of this money, coming out, dealing with the same issues as if she's a regular line worker at your typical Amazon, right? Far as income. So if these caliber of people that sit in the economic status scale is dealing with this kind of issue, what does the average working class person have a chance to do? We're getting to a point where the American dream is not even a dream, it's more of a nightmare these days, because when you obtain these things that would be considered the American dream, the house, the picket fence, the dog, 2 cars, hopefully take a vacation, save a little money. When you try to obtain these things, you end up house poor, strapped for cash, working second jobs, working gig jobs, side hustles, just to try to keep it afloat, and that's not what we were sold. So you guys tell me what you make it is. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where Is the Money? Talk to you soon.